Voces del mundo.
Well, from an Australian perspective, it's been a very interesting journey for Australian resources. Obviously, that post-war reconstruction of Japan played a very significant role in building trading relations with Northeast Asia. And from that post-war period, the development of industries like iron ore and our coal industry, and more lately our critical minerals industry and our energy industry in areas like liquefied natural gas, have really underpinned Australia's role as a globally significant jurisdictional resources-based economy. I think some of the high points have been just our recognition of how important trading relationships are with our trusted trading partners. And we look at the experience with Australia in Northeast Asia and being a reliable, dependable producer and supplier of those very important commodities into these very high growth and very significant global economies in Northeast Asia. So it's been very much a partnership which has been developed over decades. We've had different instruments across Australia. In Western Australia we've had State Agreement Acts which have provided a degree of certainty and stability for our trading partners when they've sought to establish and do continued business with Australia. We've had a very transparent legal system, and I think the other part too about Australia, it's been well recognised as a good place to do business. It's a trustworthy community or a trustworthy society, and we're very proud of how we've developed our resource sector into now what is a very significant part of a global resources economy. Minería, I think from the Australian experience, policy stability really matters. Having a transparent policy process and making sure that elected governments do what they say what they're going to do and don't move goalposts through the process. I think when investors come, like anyone, you come into as a new entry to a country, you work on the basis of a lot of goodwill and lived experience. And if suddenly policies change overnight, that leaves a very, very, very bad taste in a potential investor's attitude towards that country. So reliability, dependability, transparency are very, very important in the policy piece in terms of providing that template for investment success. I think the other part too is the stewardship piece and making sure that the investors look to how they can improve the stewardship practices, the environmental practices. And one part we're very proud of our Australian expertise is our stewardship example. And I think when we've looked at Australian investors going overseas, they've been very good corporate citizens. They've applied a lot of best practices in terms of environmental and social practice. And we're very proud of the role of how Australian mining investment, when it does go overseas, is one of those investors of choice and companies of choice as they've gone into new entries and new parts of the world. So that's a very important part of the Australian investment offering going into new jurisdictions like Ecuador, for example. I think the other part too is our people and skills, and having the ability to have Australian skills coming into those countries is very important, and having the lived experience of being an experienced mining jurisdiction in a place like Australia and transferability of those skills to new jurisdictions like Ecuador. Minería, the environmental practices and social practices of our industry are absolutely mission critical to our success. You want to be that industry who's left a long-term legacy for future generations. The lived experience of our mining industry in Australia has been we've learned a lot of lessons, we've come a long way, and we've developed what we believe to be as a world-class environmental management system and social practice system. We look after the environment as we go through. We pride ourselves on the stewardship of the environment we go through. We hold ourselves to very high standards and we do what we say we're doing. Members of the Minerals Council sign up to a global standard called Total Sustainable Mining, and they report back on that total sustainable mining. So it's just not sort of an empty rhetoric. There's a measurable metric process and a compliance system which goes with those commitments. And it's very proud when you actually see areas of rehabilitation in Australia where mining was potentially leaving quite a large footprint, have now been rehabilitated back to their natural state. And that's also brought a lot of confidence in the communities in which they operate, where you're seen to be an industry of choice, an employer of choice, and a partner of choice. And I suppose leaving that expertise back in the community once you've departed has provided new economic opportunities for those communities once those mines have closed. Have we done it right all the time? Possibly not. Are we committed to doing it right into the future? Absolutely. So it's a journey, it's a very important journey, and I think as the next generation of the world start to benefit from these minerals and these mineral developments, we will do it properly, and we'll do it properly the first time and and it's the right time to do it.